Alright, so the subject, strategic business analysis, and this is the second part for corporate strategy. Okay, so continuing from the previous video, still the same article from berniegroup.com, okay, about good corporate strategy. So here we have a question: why does good corporate strategy matter? Okay, so while still a relatively young discipline, seriously, okay, corporate strategy has made incredible strides in the business world over the past 40 years. It's not relatively young with 40 years, is it? Concerned with the overall purpose and scope of the business to meet stakeholder expectations, corporate strategy is heavily influenced by investors in the business and acts to guide strategic decision-making throughout the enterprise at all levels. Okay? So to succeed, a good strategy needs both a solid foundation and the ability to evolve and change in real time. Okay? Syempre naman. Okay? Although you have your feasibility study, you have your business plan, but when you start implementing or you start putting up your business, sometimes the reality or the actual situation is very far from what you've imagined while you're still preparing those, paper documents, right? And so whenever you realize the changes, the gap, you should be able to, in a way, prepared or ready for whatever situation that you're going to face, okay? They're not exactly new. You might have, certain idea about those situations, but in a way, you're just not expecting that they're really going to appear or occur in your own business. Okay, but still, you have to be able to cope or adjust or be flexible in addressing those issues or differences. Okay. Where are we? Business is not static. Corporate strategy shouldn't be either. So if changes are needed to be done, then changes should be done. Because again, people. Okay, aside from people, of course, actions of the competitors, changes in the laws, rules, and regulations being implemented by the government. So there are those changes that the company should be able to adjust to. Okay. Organizations face several challenges when designing and putting into practice corporate strategies. So what exactly is the foundation of a solid corporate strategy? A good corporate strategy consists of 6 elements that altogether promote a corporate advantage. Okay, 6 elements. What are they? These elements can be represented in a corporate strategy triangle. Oh, okay, so this one, where the sides of the triangles are the foundations of a solid strategy. So you have the resources, business, and organization. And then in between these foundations, you have your competitive advantage, you have your control, and then you have your coordination. Okay, so let's look at this. So the business itself, so something like, the overall picture for the business. And then you have the organization, probably, the different departments in the business. Okay, so between the business and the organization, there should be control. Okay. The business should ensure that everyone working for the business, they are being managed properly, okay, for the benefit of the business, for the achievement of the goals and objectives of the business, okay. And then you have between organization and resources, of course, the organization, the people doing the job, and then you have your resources, the limited resources, probably, financial or physical resources of the company. There should be coordination, okay? Everyone in the business should know that, hey, we only have limited resources. You shouldn't be wasteful. You shouldn't spend money on unnecessary things, or you shouldn't ask for too much if it's not, justifiable or reasonable, and if our resources cannot handle those types of expenses. Okay, so there should be coordination. And then between resources and business, the business should be able to formulate or develop a competitive advantage, okay, which would be in a way compared with the competition. Okay, competitive advantage, again, it's either cost leadership or yung uniqueness na tinatawag. Okay, yung kanina, what was it again? Unique product or service capability. Okay. The importance of corporate strategy is in focusing on an organization with all its resources and capabilities on accomplishing clearly defined mid and long-term objectives. Okay, again, the strategy is about achieving the objectives, right? But of course, here we have the bridge, focusing on an organization with all its resources and capabilities. Okay? So, kumbaga, to achieve those objectives, gagamitin yung resources and capabilities or the skills or the competence of the people working for the business. Okay? Professor Richard Rumelt of UCLA argues that where companies go wrong is when they make their strategy too complicated. Sure. Okay. It needs to be simple so that, during the implementation process, it could easily be followed by the people who are going to execute them, right? If it's too complicated, then you would have, problems like who's going to implement it? Is it this department or that department, or are they supposed to work together? Because if it's too complicated, like, what's going to happen? Like, who's going to follow it? It is also by our natural tendency to try and satisfy all possible constituencies, the CEO, the board, key investors. It is here that strategies often become convoluted and lose focus. Just another term for complicated, okay? Lose focus. Here's the thing. The business itself should have its own goals and objectives. And then you have your stakeholders, you have your players, CEO, the board, the key investors, who of course provided the funds, the capital, and who are managing the business. Okay, they in a way have their own, personal interests, but still, they should focus on the goals and objectives of the business as a whole, and, not hinder or not complicate the plan by enforcing their own interests or their own goals and objectives. Okay, kailangan mauna pa rin yung sa business mismo na goals and objectives. And then, of course, if naging profitable naman yung business, mag-redound pa rin sa kanila yung benefits. Like, the profit, majority of it would go to them, the CEO, the board, and the key investors. Just saying, okay? To achieve a competitive advantage, each arm of the triangle has to be strong enough to support the triangle uniformly, yet flexible enough to evolve with the business. Okay, so the arms, so it would be these: the business, the organization, and then the resources. Okay, strong enough to support the triangle uniformly. Tapos flexible enough then to evolve with the business if there are changes, not just in the business but in the environment as well, and the needs of the customers, the regulations. Okay. The business must be in a position to leverage this triangle of strengths to bring about competitive advantage. The point is when these three arms of the triangle do not match up, any advantage that a business has eventually fallen away. Okay, so that's why the competitive advantage is at the top of this triangle. Essentially, that's what the control and the coordination should result to. Okay, but again, if one of these foundations are not working well, not doing their job or their functions properly, then the competitive advantage would easily disappear or would be dissolved easily, right? Okay, then we have 10 key corporate strategy components. A good corporate strategy is more than a description of the company's mission or vision. It is not a long list of tasks that need to be accomplished. Several essential components of a good corporate strategy. What are they? So ito. A set of clearly defined objectives. Okay, again, goals and objectives. Tapos, itong objectives na to, kailangan sila ay quantifiable, again, measurable, okay? Anchored in financials. Itong financials na to, pwedeng enterprise value or company valuation, profitability, and then growth rate, okay? and link to a timeline. Kailangan merong timeline. Kailangan ay, let's say, in 3 years, the enterprise value should be this much, profitability rate should be this much, growth rate is this much every year, right? Secondly, a clearly defined product or end service offering that clarifies 4 dimensions, okay? Product or service, tapos meron dapat 4 dimensions. What products or services do we offer? Kailangan ay clearly defined yung value added, either function niya or, benefits of using the good or the service. And then you have who is our customer or client. So your target market, your customer base, your audience. What markets we serve? Example, geography. Saang location ba kayo? Okay, saang areas? Are you operating on a small scale or on a regional level or on a national level or, global level? And then lastly, at what price do we offer our products or service? So pricing strategies ang pinag-uusapan naman dito. Okay? Thirdly, a clear understanding of the market, industry, and competitive landscape. Okay, hindi naman pwedeng, sarili mo lang yung iisipin mo as a business. You have to be aware of what's happening around you, okay? Ano na bang ginagawa ng competitors mo? Baka mamaya may bago na silang offering. Baka mamaya meron silang improvements na ginawa sa product. Baka mamaya binabaan na nila yung pricing nila. Tapos kayo, di ba, napag-iwanan na kayo sa changes in, the market. So, kailangan aware and you have a clear understanding of the industry and the competition. Fourth, core capabilities that the organization has and does not have. Okay, so kung ano yung meron, syempre kailangan i-maximize, make that the strength of the business. And then yung mga does not have, those would be the weaknesses, then try to overcome them and try to attain them. Okay, so examples, you have your innovation, cost advantage. Okay. Fifth, execution approach, defining how objectives will be achieved. So, ito na. Medyo mas nagiging detailed na yung ating strategy. Okay? Through organic growth ba? Through acquisitions? Or how? Okay? How would you approach? What kind of approach would you do to achieve those objectives? Sixth, key elements of performance management to track the execution journey. So, mga KPIs, Key Performance Indicators. Normally, nakatie up siya dito sa defined objectives mo. So, let's say yung profitability or yung growth, pwede siyang i-break down into, let's say, ang targeted sales for a particular year is 100,000 units. So, divide mo siya into quarters. So, ilan yun? 25,000 per quarter. Or divide mo siya per month. So, how many units per month? So, kailangan, may KPIs and key performance indicators. So, kumbaga, kapag na-achieve nyo yung mga goals or targets nyo, you have your, again, corporate level, but you would also need to have yung, for the short term na goals and objectives. Pagdating sa KPIs, mas magandang gamitan yung, short term, right? Let's say for the next year, kailangan ito yung ma-achieve. Ito yung targeted sales, ito yung targeted collection, ito yung targeted customer base natin, ganyan. Okay? Agreed risk management approach. Okay, so you have your identified risk and mitigation strategy. So in case na may ganitong mangyari, how is the company going to resolve that particular issue or challenge? Okay, hindi nga, kailangan niya ay paghandaan siya. Hindi yung kapag nangyari lang, saka lang, hagas kayo na mag-isip kung anong gagawin. And again, most of the time, that would not end well for the business kapag hindi siya maayos na napaghandaan or, napag-iisipan. 8. Clear change management and leadership approach to drive changes necessary to succeed. Okay, ulit. Clear change management and leadership approach. Okay, so kailangan yung mga nasa top, they are aware of what's going on, and then if there are any changes that need to be implemented, kailangan supportive sila, especially yung nasa top, and then yung mga nasa mid-level na sila yung, magmamanda talaga. Nagbe-bring down nung decision from the top kung ano yung gagawin. Tapos sila yung mag-oversee kung ano yung ginagawa ng mismong nasa bottom, executory, okay, na mga workers. Okay? Ninth, a clearly defined strategic roadmap laying out the path forward. So let's say mga milestones, activities, responsibilities, and then yung associated resources. Normally, dun sa roadmap, so you have your long-term goal, tapos meron siyang strategies on how you're going to achieve that. Okay? Ano yung mga measures na paano mo masabi na na-achieve mo yung particular goal na yan? Okay? Let's say, sales ba yan? Customer satisfaction, employee retention, market share, ganyan. Tapos, ano yung percentage na sa tingin mo ay acceptable or magpo-prove na successful yung naging operation, right? And then, of course, meron ding timeline. Kailan dapat ito ma-achieve? Kailangan ba within 3 months, within 6 months, within 1 year, or kahit more than a year ba yan? And then, of course, associated resources. Magkano yung budget na kailangan para ma-achieve yung particular na goal na yan? Okay, magkano yung resources? Or how much fund would be utilized for that particular activity to achieve that particular goal? Okay, so normally yan, mga nakasaad sa roadmap. And then lastly, we believe that there is another essential component of corporate strategy that links all these aspects together. This is a set of scenarios that consider potential strategic developments and represent feasible versions of future developments. A well-defined strategy considers different scenarios to ensure that the company is prepared for unexpected. So something like, sensitivity analysis na in different scenarios, how is the company going to react? Okay, so kailangan, from the beginning, na-consider na yung mga yan din. Okay. If a company plans for an essential growth that includes both organic and acquisition-based growth, it should have in its back pocket a scenario of a pure organic growth in the event that there are no companies in the market to acquire. Okay? So, kumbaga yung organic growth kasi is on their own, they can get a greater percentage of the market, ganyan, to increase their sales and whatnot. Okay? Of course, they can do that either growth strategies, they can do that through organic or through acquisition. But if there is, no companies for acquisition, then they have to focus on pure organic growth. Another possible scenario can be changes in regulation that are often hard to predict. Diba yung mga changes in tax laws, changes in regulations, mga requirements, ganyan. Not necessarily hard to predict. I'm not sure about the other countries, pero dito naman sa atin, normally, kapag may mga laws na ini-introduce, di ba, medyo mahaba pa yung discussion, tapos merong consultation with the stakeholders, tapos there are a lot of analysis that's going to happen, and then, may mga opinion analysis pa na nangyayari before they get implemented. So, in a way, merong enough time din siguro. Not necessarily enough time, but there is a certain amount of time na pwede makapag-prepare yung isang business whenever there's a proposed bill that might affect their operations. Okay? So, meron dito, David Burney. Zero siya yung the owner or CEO of the Burney Group. Okay? Discuss niya yung good corporate strategy. Transcript ng video. Okay, I can just read this. Okay, you can watch the video on your own. Okay. So essentially, siguro ito na lang yung banggitin ko. They have this one client, right, na data-driven siya. As we all know, kapag data kasi hindi pa siya napaprocess and hindi pa siya usable, in decision-making. So they were doing quite well, pero yun nga, all the data they were collecting was extremely valuable and could be deployed in a much better way if they really became an insights-driven company. So instead of data-driven, they converted them into an insights-driven company. Tapos yung insights, kumbaga pinakang information na process information, became the foundation for insights which were much more valuable for their customers. Okay, so siguro parang research group ito. Okay, when we work with companies, we think about a process where we first go and define the mission and vision, but then we'll actually work with them, assess the current environment. Okay, so that's what you're going to have to do if you're formulating your corporate strategy. Look at the competitors, regulation, what's going on in the industry, customers, consumers, and really understand their industry as a whole and what the opportunities are. Tapos yung how it's growing, how it's changing, how technology will impact it, the technology impact it going forward. Okay? So given the numerous types of industries that we have, different types of businesses, I think that's one reason why wala tayong masyadong, specific discussions with regard to strategies. Kasi nga, it would really depend on the type of business and the industry. Kung ano yung applicable sa kanila. What we have are just these guide questions, the things or the aspects of the business that we should focus on. Diba? Pero yung pinakang specific to the cases, wala tayo masyado doon. So, in a way, it's very abstract. It's very vague. Kapag in-apply mo na lang siya in a particular business, saka mo lang siya, mas ma-appreciate and mas maisip mo talaga kung ano yung mga instances, mga information na kailangan mo paghandaan, okay? Things like that, alright? Okay, so ito na, differentiation or, contrast or comparison ng corporate strategy, business strategy, saka functional strategy. How are they different? So, I think yun, diba? Quite obvious naman, pinakang top corporate strategy, the business as a whole or the group of companies. And then you have your business strategy, also called business level strategy. This is more on either a product line in a particular location, okay, or a product line, a product, okay, something like that. Okay. Later, parang meron pa namang additional discussion down here. Tapos yung functional strategy, it's more on the functions, tipong HR, marketing, sales, collection, accounting, siguro, ganyan. Okay? So, ito naman yung summary of differences across these three types and key questions that each strategy should address. So, yung corporate, ang focus niya, entire organization niya. Okay? It determines the path to create value both for shareholders and clients or customers. Tapos yung strategy niya spans across the entire portfolio of businesses owned by the company and functions that enable and empower these businesses. Okay? So, kumbaga as a whole, big picture. Ano yung questions covered nila? How do we add value to shareholders or increase the enterprise value? What are the key businesses we want to be in? Okay, kumbaga, operations. What are internal and external synergies between our businesses? Okay, so kumbaga meron bang coordination yan? Supportive of each other ba? Yung inyong mga key businesses or core businesses. Yan. Business strategy. Business strategy or business level strategy or business unit strategy determines the path forward for a particular business and customers or clients it is focusing on. Such aspects as profitability, sustainability, product service offering, pricing, customer or client segmentation are focal topics of a business strategy. Okay, so for example, you have a product. You have a product line, right? So let's say product line siya tapos different products in the same product line. So for example, textile or clothing manufacturer. So you have from your production process, you have pants, you have t-shirts, you have jackets, you have hoodies, sweaters, ganyan, right? So it's a product line, clothing product line, but there are different products. So in a way, each product in that product line, that's a business unit, okay? Let's just say that it's a business unit. Tapos, syempre, magkakaiba. Meron silang sarili-sarili nilang profitability rate, sustainability, pricing, tapos yung customer target or customer base, right? So, ayun yun. Magkakaiba sila ng strategy on how they're going to increase the profitability of each of the product or how they're going to set the price for each of these products or how they're going to increase their customer base, going to retain their customers, ganon, okay? Or another example din naman, pwede namang entire let's say entire store siya, na andun lahat yung buong product line, right? But then this particular store, let's say store A, andito siya sa isang location. Tapos in that location, wala naman siyang competitor, right? So solo niya yung market doon. So in a way, iba yung strategy niya compared mo dito kay store B, kung saan in that area merong isang existing na competitor. Okay, so in that sense, pareho lang naman sila ng store, pareho sila ng products na ino-offer, parehong product line, di ba? Pero given the different areas, they're operating in different areas, so magkaiba sila ng strategy. So yun yung business strategy na. Okay? Kasi ang magiging focus nila will be the profitability, sustainability, product or service offering, pricing, customer client segmentation. Okay, so yeah. Examples of questions covered: what are the services and products we want to provide to our customers? In what geographies, market segments we want to play? Tapos, how can we drive profitability while delivering better products or services? Okay? And then yung last, functional strategy naman, ang focus ay particular organization function. Example nga, HR, contact center. Ang contact center, customer service. Okay? Digital, technology, or IT. In the context of the entire organization. So, hindi lang for the business level, for the entire organization. How this function adds value to the rest of the organization, such as aspects as services offered, internal pricing, enabling capabilities, diba, mga training, development for the employees, diba, para maging more competent and more skilled sila. Quality of services are in the focus of a functional strategy. So, examples of questions covered. How can we best enable both internal and external clients? How can we deliver the best quality of services in an efficient way? Okay? And then how can we help create synergies and apply best practices serving various parts of the organization? I think this one's very important. Na yung bawat department in a business, they are working together. Unlike dun sa, nag-iinggitan, nagpapagalingan. Dapat, they are operating to support the business as a whole. Hindi yung pabida yung sariling department. They should be able to support each other. Kasi naman, they have different functions naman. So, why do they need to compete with the other departments, diba? Anyway, office politics. Whatever. Okay, here is an example of how various strategy levels may look in a bank. An overall bank strategy is supported or aligned with business strategies of every single business unit. So, example nito, di ba, ito yung overall bank strategy. Tapos, under that, you have your business unit level, different product lines. You have your retail banking strategy, wealth management, commercial banking, saka capital markets. Tapos, under niya mga yan yung functional level, pero lahat naman itong business level sinusuportahan yan. Diba? Yung HR strategy, applicable to all the business level. Kasi nga, ang sinusuportahan ay overall bank. IT, direct channel strategy, contact, digital, customer service, digital, tapos innovation strategy, among others. Okay? Hindi lang naman yan, marami pa din. Okay, tapos they provided here examples of highly successful corporate strategies. Ito pareho silang automobile manufacturers, pero magkaiba sila ng pinuntahan na strategy. Itong sa Porsche, how do you pronounce this? Porsche? Bali sila, diba yan, naka-experience din na on the brink of bankruptcy na due to inefficient production methods. Pero they remade the company, nag-employ sila ng strategy focus on Japanese manufacturing concept. So, kumbaga, binago nila yung kanilang production process din, to improve efficiency, and they launch new products to increase market appeal. Okay, so they produce different vehicles. They have 911, mid-size premium sport vehicle, Boxster, compact premium sport vehicle, tapos Cayman, premium sport coupe, targeted a very specific upscale market. Okay, so medyo pang mayaman, medyo bigatin, medyo high-end, right? Allowing the company to focus its brand and value proposition on this segment of consumers. Okay, so narrow market Tapos ay unique product, okay, or service capability. Okay. Tapos, ito namang sa Toyota, corporate strategy nila. Ang ginawa nila, of course, different from Porsche. Ang ginawa nila, they did not focus on one particular customer segment. So, instead of narrow market, broad market. Tapos, ang kanilang ginawa ay cost leadership. Okay? Paired it with high quality. Okay? So, in a way, quality rin naman yung kanilang mga pinaproduce na cars or vehicles. Tapos, comparable with the competition. But they lower the prices para maging afford siya ng masses. Kasi nga, yung tinarget nila is the broad market. Right? So, cost leadership yung kanilang ginawang strategy. Tapos, with regards to operations din, marami rin silang, nag-innovate sila ng mga processes that would help them improve their operations. Sila yung nakilala for, TPS, Toronto Production System, JIT, Just-in-Time Manufacturing, saka yung Lean are known to originate in Toyota's manufacturing. So, sila nagpasimula niyang mga well-known concepts na yan, di ba? Sa cost accounting, alam niyo yan, narinig niyo na yan, okay? Maybe later, siguro some of these marireview din natin here at Strategic Business Analysis. Okay? This has enabled the company to offer high-quality products, though in clearly defined configurations, at very competitive prices, quickly capturing a significant share of the automotive market. Okay? So, ayun lang for this particular topic. Again, ito yung second part ng corporate strategy. So, essentially, ang diniscuss natin dito is yung importance ng corporate strategy, tapos difference niya from business strategy and functional strategy. Okay? Then you have your two examples here. Alright, so that's it for this one. Thanks and bye.